Ladies and gentlemen, I am SidAlpha. I have returned from death's door once again, and while the promised Dirty Devs video will still be coming, I got asked yet again for probably the 100th time from a first-time indie game developer if I had any tips or experience that I could offer. And as this is a fairly common occurrence, I thought I'd take the opportunity to lend my impressions and opinions within a video in order to help make the games world just a bit better in a manner that differs from dragging a dirty dev kicking and screaming into the light of day. Please bear in mind that I am a critic and a mook with a mic. I'm not a game developer, and as that is the case, some of this advice may well be wrong. However, in my experience, a lot of these tips might have saved most, if not all, dirty devs from finding themselves being inducted into those not-so-hallowed halls. So here are my thoughts and opinions on what any game developer can do to make the perception of their game better, some common methods of cheap advertising, and to maintain better relations with their customers broken down into 3 segments: advice for all developers, advice for Kickstarter campaigns, and advice specific to early access. Now, the first thing I would recommend is to remember KISS. Now, the KISS acronym is a well-known adage within the IT industry. It stands for Keep It Simple, Stupid. And by that, I mean try to avoid overcomplicating your game in order to attempt to come up with something unique. This is important especially for new game developers. A simpler game will invariably be far more enjoyable than a first-person shooter real-time strategy open-world puzzle platformer with stealth elements. After all, when you try to do too many things at once, you end up doing none of them very well. You can be clever, just make sure you're not too clever for your own good. Sweat the small things. Attention to detail and polishing your game cannot be understated enough. Nothing screams amateur hour more than seeing the default Unity menu settings the moment the player starts the game. Give care and love to every aspect of your game, not just the gameplay itself. A well-designed custom start menu along with robust customizable options that work shows the player that the developer cares about their game. Project management. Now, every game development process is a project. Coming up with task lists and realistic timelines for either yourself or a team can be difficult for someone that has never gone through it before. If you're inexperienced in project management, take a course. Either at a local college or online, you only stand to benefit. I do happen to know that lynda.com offers some excellent courses on project management that can be very effective in helping you with your game development strategy. I say this because I've seen developers not know where their game is going or what they should be working on next. And if you don't know where your game is going, the game itself won't know what it is. And if that happens, the player most likely won't be able to enjoy playing it. Be passionate. For any game developer, their passion for their game is what will show through the most to the player. Passion will push you to excel, to go the extra mile, and to remain dedicated. If you want to see examples of what I mean, look up any game that was placed into the Diamond Dev series on my channel. Each one of those game developers showed exceptional passion and dedication to their games, and as a result of that, we were provided with something unique and special. Games that, while they certainly weren't perfect, were a joy to play, and those developers deserve supporting. Keep your price reasonable. Now, I've lost count of the number of $20 and $30 games I've seen on Steam that should have been priced at $5 or less. Do yourself and your customers a favor and take some time to look up other similar games on Steam. See what sort of game mechanics they include, check how long it will take a player to complete their game, and compare them to yours, and then make sure you come up with a realistic price point for your game. Selling an overpriced indie game will cause a great deal of negative feedback and a general unwillingness to purchase. Be accepting of critique. Of course, you know me, you know my channel, you know I'm going to list this as an absolute must. Not everyone will like your game. That is a fact of life. My recommendation to any game developer is that you absolutely must grow a thick skin when it comes to negative critique. Even if a critic is being personally abusive to you, it is absolutely imperative that you do not lose your cool. Keep to the Obi-Wan Kenobi method and always have the high ground, and remember that negative critique is every bit as valuable as positive reviews. Negative critique will let you know what the weak points of your games are so you can update them and be able to turn those weak areas into strengths. Now, I know that for most, including me, this is one of the most challenging aspects that you will face. It's hard letting insults, either real or imagined, go by without challenge. Instead of looking at negative reviewers as an enemy combatant, view them as a tool in your toolbox to garner different perspectives in relation to your game. And as a plus, if you channel your inner Obi-Wan and implement fixes and adjustments to your game based on that negative feedback, you can have the option to politely request the player or the reviewer to take a second look at the game. Thank them for their insights if they weren't rude, and list the changes that you made or link them to the update post where those changes are listed. More often than not, when faced with a developer acting peacefully and exhibiting a real passion for their game and wanting to make it the best it can be, they will respond in kind. This will allow you to turn detractors into promoters, and it will earn you respect, which will carry through and make people even more willing to give your game and future games a try. Also, if a reviewer is acting in an unreasonable manner and you as the game's developer comport yourself in a respectable manner, they will very quickly find themselves in a position of weakness while you maintain a position of strength, which very much leads into the next point: be professional. This may be your first time developing a game. This might be your 10th. Either way, it really doesn't matter. You are not only engaged in a creative endeavor, you are running a business. And as such, you should act in a professional manner. Don't lose your cool with people ripping on your game. That's where the thick skin comes in. Don't ever threaten players or reviewers. Don't harangue or belittle them. Especially don't talk down to them or act condescendingly. Treating people with respect will earn you respect in return, and the basis of that mentality is professionalism. Learn to advertise. Now, even if you finish your game and launch it, how will people know that your game is ready to sell? Coming up with a marketing strategy is crucial, and yes, it does cost money in a lot of areas to be able to do that. But I've seen a great many indie devs learn how to market themselves effectively on a budget, often using a great deal of free options and tools to great effect. The first is obviously set up a kick-ass trailer, and this is something that I can't stress enough. Having a truly impressive trailer to showcase your game will do wonders for you. It is literally one of the first things people will see in regards to your game and is, for all intents and purposes, your game's ambassador. Speaking as a critic, if your trailer doesn't pique my interest, then it's unlikely I'll cover your game. And as with game development, when it comes to your trailer, you must pay attention to detail. Don't just slap something together in a few minutes or an hour. Really, invest some time into it and make it the best you possibly can. If you want voiceover for the trailer, my advice is don't do it yourself unless you're able to do some voice acting. A trailer can have all the impressive visuals you want, but nothing will kill it faster than a voiceover that is flat and obviously from someone inexperienced or sounding like it was recorded in a public restroom. More often than not, it would be money well spent to hire a voice actor from a site like Casting Call Club as opposed to doing it yourself, and realistically won't end up costing you a great deal of money. The next thing I'd recommend would be to set up a Discord server. It's free and it will help build a community for your game. Community building is crucial for indie developers, whether they're new or established. It makes advertising to your fans easier, it helps create word of mouth, and it makes it easy to keep everyone updated. Another option you have is a tool already available to you if you're preparing to launch your game on Steam, offering review code to Steam curators. Now, this is a built-in tool, and you can have Steam curators review your game before it even launches for sale, which will provide something more than a blank slate in terms of critique to help draw in gamers. There are also other sites to offer up your game for review copies, such as keymailer.co. This is one of the one-stop shops for games critics looking for games to review, and you will not want to find yourself left off of these lists. Another review code site is terminals.io, which is by Evolve Marketing. Now, this site will cost you a pretty penny. If I recall, it's somewhere around $1,000 to list your game, and because of that, it likely won't be a good fit for first-time developers. However, if you have a higher quality game that you're looking to advertise, this site is a must. And Twitter and Facebook, more so Twitter, are still viable avenues for advertising your game, posting fun clips, jokes, and anything else that will get engagement and draw interest and can also help pull people into your Discord. Another thing you can do is set up a YouTube channel. That will provide a fantastic repository area for your video diaries, vlogs, and development updates as well as trailers. Streaming development updates on YouTube or Twitch would also be a good idea to be able to provide some live interaction with your players. Another option is email campaigns. It's a little bit old school, but can still be highly effective. To this end, there's a fantastic write-up on Gamasutra by Chris Zukowski detailing how to conduct successful email marketing, and I will post links to all the sites I mentioned in this video down in the pinned comment. The next thing I would say would be beware of scams. The scammers are literally everywhere on the internet, and I'm still surprised by how many new and experienced developers fall prey to these. People emailing you or DMing you asking for review code is very normal. However, you must keep a wary eye of emailers, people on social media, and Steam curators asking for abnormal numbers of review code or not being who they pretend to be. If it's a games YouTuber or a Twitch streamer, they will typically have a business contact email address on their social media, YouTube About sections, or Twitch profiles. More often than not, if they're requesting a review code, they will be sending that request from their social media accounts or from the business email addresses they have listed. Double check that their Twitch or YouTube pages link back to the email address or social media profile that is soliciting you, and never blindly click on a hyperlink. Copy it and paste it into something like Notepad to be able to inspect the URL, otherwise you might also find yourself falling victim to a ransomware attack. Kickstarter is very unique in terms of games development. It is basically advertising and getting funding for your game and does come with its own special set of caveats. The first thing I would say would be take your time and build your page properly. Kickstarter is literally selling an idea after all. If your Kickstarter page doesn't catch the eye and capture the imagination, it's likely doomed to fail. Take your time and do it right. Make sure you have a very fleshed out page with graphics, details, and videos. The next thing I would say would be realistic with your stretch goals. Now, it's important that if you choose to have stretch goals, you plan them out before you launch your Kickstarter campaign. This will allow you to make them meaningful and attainable. I've seen numerous crowdfunding campaigns go on a runaway train with stretch goals, and those stretch goals end up causing massive amounts of scope creep that can very often kill a game by being difficult or impossible to implement, which will invariably cause backlash from your players and from people like me. YouTubers and critics also don't look fondly on poorly planned stretch goals that don't get implemented. Such things might even cause you to wind up being listed in dirty devs. Have a demo. Having a demo is a powerful tool when you're marketing a game on Kickstarter. It allows people to whet their appetites and get a feel for what you're creating, and it is one thing that I, as a critic, always look for. Because while Kickstarter is literally selling an idea, a demo, while it is a lot of work to create, it provides something tangible and it will be worthwhile. Look into a marketing company. You want your Kickstarter to be a success, but the reality is most fail. Look into Kickstarter marketing experts to help you be as successful as you can. Yes, it costs money, but it will give you and your game the best chance for success if you're going the Kickstarter route. Early access is a difficult topic to discuss because, quite frankly, most early access games fail. And there's a few specific reasons that a lot of them fail, and we'll go over some of those here. The first would be don't over-rely on early access funding. And over the years, I've seen countless indie developers attempt to rely on early access sales to fund their game development. Let me tell you, that is a terrible idea and will almost certainly lead you down the path of failure. The moment you release an update to your early access game that people don't like, the torches and pitchforks will come out and the sales will dry up. If that happens, where do you think that will leave you? Out of cash with an incomplete and failed game. Early access should be a tool for developers to get player feedback on different components that will be helpful for you to craft the best game you possibly can. And yes, you will get income from it as well. But early access funds should be treated as extra income to help hedge against failure and not be treated as primary income for development. That will invariably ensure failure. Don't launch too early. The vast majority of early access games fail. Like I said, it's a simple reality. And I've seen many games launch in early access far too early in the development cycle, and what that provides is little better than a tech demo as far as the player is concerned. Dull, uninteresting, and empty because you were so early on in the process. Now, if you decide to go the early access route, I, as a critic, highly recommend that you wait until your game moves out of the early or even mid-alpha stage. Wait until most or even all of the core game mechanics have been implemented, at least in their initial stages. This will give your players something to enjoy and will help avoid against early access becoming an early death. Communicate, communicate, communicate. While there can be such a thing as overcommunication, have a plan to communicate progress or even a lack thereof to your players. A weekly vlog or blog update would be what I would consider as a gold standard. However, I do know that can be very difficult, not to mention time-consuming and soul-sucking to do. A lot of time spent on these updates could be spent developing the game after all. So what I'd recommend would be either a bi-weekly or monthly vlog or blog post for your players. And I know maintaining even a monthly report schedule can be daunting if you have nothing to report. However, under those circumstances, I think you'll find the vast majority of your players will appreciate that you updated them with, "We're still having issues with X, Y, and Z, but we're working on them. We just don't have anything finished quite yet," as opposed to fearful silence. Remember that fear is the mind killer. Fear is the little death. In my not-so-humble opinion, fear-causing silence can give the impression that development of the game has died, so don't let it. Keep your players in the know, even if you have nothing to report. They'll at least know that you're still alive and you haven't pissed off and left them hanging in the wind. Well, that was a great deal more in-depth than I had originally wanted to go with this video, but it's been a while since I recorded a video and I was starting to go through withdrawals. Video games are important to me, as are my viewers, and I find it very heartwarming that so many game developers over the years have chosen to ask me for advice about their games. Typically, I shy away from offering it too much because I don't want to get blamed if they fail, but I decided to do this video because I wanted to put something out there that can help the gaming world that wasn't as dour or negative in nature as a Dirty Devs video. Hell, I don't even know if any of this was good advice, but then again, I'm just a mook with a mic who enjoys bacon more than he should, but I hope you found some value in it. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, I am SidAlpha, and I'll see you next time.